you know what really worries me? Is that when we talk about exclusion and when we talk about whether or not young people get involved in not only gangs, but just crime through the whole exclusion system, and the government are just coming out and asking whether there's a correlation between young boys being excluded and them being involved in crime or being groomed. I think it's just ridiculous, because we work in schools and we work to manage these young people because we understand the whole process of what a PRU does to a young life.
Yeah.
And what a PRU does to a young life is almost like grooming in itself. PRUs are business, and I'm fed up of telling parents that they have to manage their children before they end up in PRUs. Because once you're in a PRU, that pretty much the education system is let you go. They're not interested in you, you're hard to manage. And we see it all the time in schools. And so for me, it really, really, really worries me to see so many of our children, especially boys, ending up in these PRUs. And then for the government to now ask that simple question that we've been saying for years, is there a correlation? There's obviously a correlation. You work in schools. What do you find when you work with years?
It's similar to, as they say, like prison. As they say, when you go into prison as a criminal, you come out a better criminal. Yeah, because you're surrounded by these by criminals. So for me, exclusion for young, especially young boys, and put into places like PRUs and possibly care homes, indirectly what you're saying is you're not wanted.
Yeah. Washed our hands with.
Yeah. And it's like, this is the last place you can go. If you could go to prison at the age you are now, we would send you there.
We would send you.
Yeah. So and this is at the point where you say, right, within reason, parents need to really work alongside the children and the schools. And if there's a PRUs involved, yes, there are children who are probably way more advanced mentally than some other children, and probably might have seen a bit more life than some other children. But you make sure that these things, as in support networks, are put into place, because you don't really want your child attending a PRU.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You don't want your child to be around other children who could influence your child into going into other behaviours. And what happens is, when the government are saying stuff like, are they related? It's clearly related, because when you put a child in that environment, then they want to fit in.
Well, the child becomes the environment.
There you go.
And that's why it amazes me, because government's always looking for solutions, and now to be at this stage where they're asking whether or not, if you put a child in a PRU, that will affect their future. That's what you're asking. It just seems to me like a waste of time. You understand what I'm saying? Because we're on the ground, so we work with these children, and we see these children before the teachers write them off, and we try and avoid them going to the PRUs because we understand what PRUs are about. And so I guess kind of what this message is, and it's probably better off towards parents and carers. And I'm going to go out there and say this, and it's really, really simple, is that if you want your child to understand what it's like going to prison, then your child will learn that in a PRU. A PRU is a processing ground for all other bad behaviour. Whether or not they get involved in gangs afterwards, that's negotiable, but they will more than likely be involved in crime, because they're in an environment where all the other children are just trying to be noticed.
That's right. And
so the behaviours that they exhibit are just being played out. I've been in so many PRUs, man, and the minute you walk for a PRU, you can just see the ones that are going to end up in trouble. You can see the ones that are going to end up in gangs. And in my opinion, the teachers are not equipped enough to deal with this, because if they were equipped enough to deal with this, those children would not be in the PRUs. That's my opinion on it. So as a parent and carer, keep your child out of PRUs, because that is just a tasting ground for a prison.
Well, I will go probably a step further, because you get some parents who, if they're not willing enough to try to work alongside authorities to find out why their child is going down the road, they're going down and try to do it the best way they can. I mean, if sometimes you have to say to yourself, I put myself in a situation.
Yeah.
As a comedian, I'm lucky enough that I've had my parents to support me.
Yeah.
And partly my parents helped me, and my I didn't say that laws. My in-laws helped me raise my sons.
Yeah.
And
you had that support.
I had that support system. Yeah, and I was lucky enough. But even then, me chasing that dream to be the next Chris Rock or Kevin Hart, there was things where my children got involved with, and I had to really have a reality check for my own family. And then I had to say to myself, I say to my agent, well, do you know what? Do I keep on doing these shows?
Or do you become a bit more flexible?
Do I have to become flexible? Do I do these shows when I'm travelling the other ends of United Kingdom, when I get a phone call from my son and I can't come because I'm stuck in Newcastle? Or do I've got to work smart. I've got to think smart. So, and this is the thing with some parents, we understand that. I mean, we all want to put food on our table, we want to provide for our children, but then we have to say, well, what are we providing for our children? What are we putting on the table?
It's almost like, what are we prepared to sacrifice?
Yeah.
To safeguard that passage for our children.
Yeah.
And it is like that. It's just like that.
We said it earlier, and I say it again. It's like the Prue situation and possibly care homes. They are the last resort. That's the society telling you that no one don't want you. And the only way I can describe Prues are like that tin of food where your parents used to have back in the day. And it was in the back of the cupboard. Yeah. And it was there for a rainy day. Yeah. But it was there when times were hard. But it got you through.
It got you through.
Yeah, because we all went to it. Yeah. And then as time goes on, we forgot about it, and we put biscuits and we put sweets all the good stuff. But not realising all these things we put in front of the good stuff. Because in that tin of sardines, in that box of Quaker porridge and all that kind of stuff, was stuff to get us through those tough times. And what's happening now is and I'm relating to the sweets and the foods, like the social media and the PlayStation games, Xbox games, Netflix, and all this kind of stuff. There's all those things which our children are gravitating to, and even to the point that even some of the parents are playing with. I mean, grown men playing
Fortnite.
Well, it's grown men playing FIFA still, if they use. So, and like I said, nothing wrong with grown men playing FIFA, but you know what I mean. When there's a time and a place where you say, like, I mean, I couldn't play no games with it's Commodore 64 and like playing that. But
so, if you had one word for a parent, carer, or even the government watching this, what would it be?
I would say to government, I would say this: let parents be parents. Yeah, aid, support. Yeah, but let parents be parents. Yes, as parents, we are going to make mistakes, but allow parents and family units and family and friends to heal those mistakes, so to speak. Yeah, to parents, sometimes we've got to think out of our box, and we've got to put our minds into the mindsets of our children, because we sometimes we live in our world when we was their age. Sometimes we got to live in. It must be for them. Yeah, think out of the box sometimes. Yeah, understand the language, understand the music, and to a point. But make sure you, like I said, you think out of the box.
For me, I've only got one stance, and it's the whole government thing. And so my message to the government out there, if they ever came across this, is to stop sticking plasters on wounds that are already pussy. You're just covering up issues that you know are there, and those issues are going to become real mainstream issues, and those are going to contribute to the figures and the stats that you see as knife and gun crime. So yes, definitely in my opinion, pushing a kid or a child through managed moves or exclusion or Prues definitely puts them in the environment for knife and gun crime.
Can I just say one more thing? To the government, employ people who have experienced in the fields of work which you are targeting.
Don't go there. Leave it there.